When I was little, I inherited a piece of furniture from my dad's side of the family. Why I would be excited about it when I was only 6 years old, I have no idea. But my dad made a big deal about it, so I feigned interest. It was a nightstand. The one nightstand that my great-great-aunt somebody once far removed wanted me to have. Round and made of rich mahogany, its legs were carved and shaped into elegant claws. Its surface was smooth and cool to the touch. Elegant and sturdy, the table looked like it had decades of stories, each one rich and intriguing. You know what this means, don't you? This is now your responsibility, my dad said with a heavy sigh, as if saddened by the doomed existence the nightstand would surely have under my head. It's not going to take care of itself, you know. You can take care of it, can't you? Of course, I said earnestly, wondering who I could bribe to take care of this thing. A few years later, it was Christmas time in Tulsa, and my mom hinted that she wanted Santa to bring her an address book. By hinting, I mean she wrote down exactly where to get it, what it looked like, and how much it cost, and handed me the piece of paper as if it were my to-do list. My dad drove my brother and I to a small little store called the Etc. Shop, which sold pointless knickknacks to clutter the finest of homes. I found the tacky red patent leather address book immediately. Taking it to the cash register, my brother and I found we were 23 cents short. Well, don't look at me, my dad said. This is your gift. You should have thought of that before, he said, throwing his hands up in the air as though we had just killed the store owner and he didn't know what to do with the body. It's no big deal. It's only 23 cents. Oh, no, you don't, my dad said, almost like a threat. These kids will be back with your money before you close today. That knocked the holiday spirit right off her face. Bennett, my dad, and I drove home in silence. I ran to my room and surveyed the scene. My piggy bank, well, I was hoping it wouldn't come to that. I glanced across the room to my nightstand. Please have some change, I thought to myself. I opened the drawer. My half of 23 cents. I felt a little relief pee run down my leg. My nightstand saved me, and after that, it became my little secret where I would put everything. I got cancer 3 times when I was a teenager. I was playing all the big-time tennis tournaments around the state, and my left knee had a dull, constant ache, and my mom said it was time to go to the doctor. Within 2 days, I was at MD Anderson in Houston with 20 doctors staring at me. I had a rare form of bone cancer with a 5% survival chance. 2 days later, my left leg was amputated right above the knee. Now groggy, after surgery, I reached down to where my leg had been, and I touched the cast that covered what was left of it. How was I going to be popular now, I thought. My first prosthesis was made of wood. To be more precise, it was basically 2 pieces of wood with a hinge the doctors cruelly called a knee. My nightstand held the things I needed to put on my prosthesis. I told people that my leg was held on with super glue. I also said Velcro, putty, Scotch tape, a hammer and nails, magic. And people bought it. They still do. And by the way, it's suction. As I went through chemo, my body was racked with nausea, seizures, hair loss, jaundice, kidney failure, and heart murmurs. After 2 years of hell, I had a recurrence at 15 in the form of lung cancer. And we started the process all over again. And then again, at 17, more lung cancer. My nightstand served as a holding tank for all the turquoise, kidney-shaped throw-up trays I'd need over 5 years of chemo. It converted to a trash can for all the Kleenex used to wipe the vomit from my face. I threw my hair on it as it came out in clumps. I threw my wig on it when I got too hot. And I threw a fit when I got out of bed too quickly and tried to take a step, forgetting my leg was gone. I grabbed my nightstand, and as I fell, broke off a piece of the beautiful wood as we both hit the floor. Over the years, it displayed a fish tank and various cool lamps from Spencer Gifts. It housed the first love letter I ever received. So when I moved away from home, my nightstand naturally came with me. Most of my friends spent their 20s trying to excel at their job and find that perfect someone they could trick into marrying them. I was far too lazy for that. I knew more about hot happy hours and hot wings than who was who on the company roster. One typical Saturday night, my friends and I were out when I boldly announced that I would pick up the hottest guy in the bar, and I would settle for nothing less. Who said I never set goals? 95 drinks later, I did just that. The next morning, what's-his-face asked if he could call me later. I just looked at him and said, this was a one-nighter, so no. But I do know where your keys are, nodding vaguely to the left. Ironically, my one-night stand held the keys for my one-night stand. I moved a bunch in those years. I tried living uptown, downtown, all over town, trying to glean some internal happiness out of external excess. I went out all the time. If I was feeling insecure, a shot could cure that. If I was sad, a pill could fix that. Car wrecks, lost jobs, blackouts weren't a big deal. They were a Wednesday. Soon happy hour started in the morning hours alone, and I decided against formalities like a glass. I lied to friends, families, boyfriends, and employers. I used my nightstand to store flasks and pills. As desperation took over, I would set my alarm clock not to get up and be productive, but to drink. What was wrong, people asked. Nothing, everything, I didn't know. 2 liters of vodka and 60 pills a day. Suddenly, a decade had passed. I had the same day over and over, until one day, I didn't. I had an intervention. I went to rehab, and I got sober. 6 months later, the guy who broke into my house had been stalking me for a while. He knew my habits, and he also knew I couldn't run away. As he entered my bedroom, the alarm was blaring. The alarm company called. My intruder told me to answer it. He shared the earpiece with me to make sure that I wouldn't tip them off. Was I okay, they asked? Yes, I said in a small, faraway voice that I didn't recognize. The rapist hung up the phone and ran his hand along my nightstand. Help would not be coming. I moved again. My best friend Carol Ann found my next apartment, a light, sunny place, a stark contrast to my dark, heavy heart. Soon after that, she was diagnosed with a brain tumor, with 1.5 years to live. Laughing too loud, driving too fast, cussing too much, we crammed in as much as we could to life on a deadline. At her funeral, her family gave me a letter she wrote, articulating how special her friendship had been for her. I carefully placed that letter in my nightstand, taking it out several times a day to read, flattening the paper against my leg and letting the tears freely fall. Soon the text was incomprehensible and smeared, but I knew the words by heart. A few years later, never one to let sentiment get in the way of an easy buck, I sold my nightstand in a garage sale for something like the price of McNuggets. I had fallen in love, and I was purging myself of my stuff. And eventually, wouldn't you know it, I purged myself of him. But there's a time and a place, and we all move on. So in the end, I did take care of my nightstand for more than 30 years. Or perhaps the last laugh was at my dad's expense, and it was my one night stand that took care of me.